Hello, welcome to the Faculty of Arts building, the FAB, at the University of Warwick. Now, let's meet some FAB people.
In February 2026, Robert met up with a group of our amazing students from 3 different academic disciplines representing Black student networks who are curating and designing an exciting exhibition to run in the FAB on the 5th and 6th of March. Enjoy this FAB conversation about music, history, culture and curation.
Hello and welcome to the University of Warwick. We're in the Faculty of Arts building, the FAB, and we're with some FAB people who are doing FAB things. And the way they're looking at me when I say that, it's so cheesy, but it's true. We're going to hear about an amazing project that some students are doing. They've come together from, they're all parts of the faculty, and they're all similar networks in the faculty, but from different parts of the faculty. Okay, which one of the things that this building actually does for us is getting people together. We were very dispersed in the past, and now we're all together, and we have a space, and we have things we can do together in that space. So let's just get some introductions going, starting with Alex. So Alex, do you want to give us your full name, what you do, and who you're representing here?
Hi, my name is Alex Land. I'm part of the History Black Student Network, and I'm here to just discuss a collaborative music exhibition that's taking place next week.
So history department?
Yes.
Is your network quite well established?
I would think so. I think it's been established since 2023, so at least 2 years before I started at uni. Yeah.
What kinds of things do you already do independently of this collaborative project?
We've had quite a few events this year. I think one of the major ones was a Congo awareness event. So we were just staged this event, just talking about political circumstances in Congo, just raising awareness. Another massive event we had was another collaborative thing with History Soc. It was a careers conference. It was a careers conference just to give different history and humanities students like insights with what they can do with their history degree beyond university. So yeah, a range of things.
Interesting. So that the link between African politics and development and history obviously is very interesting in itself. So that's a wonderful thing to do. Great. And yeah, careers. Superb. So let's move on to now Alicia, who is from the School of Modern Languages and Cultures, SMLC. And you have a network there as well, Black Student Network.
Yes.
Want to tell us about that?
Yes.
Oh, first of all, introduce yourself, your name.
Hi, my name's Alicia. I'm with the School of Modern Languages and Cultures Black Student Network. We've had a bunch of different sort of events going on over the past year. I've been involved in the network in both its first full academic year running and now its third full academic year running. This year, our focus has been sort of expanding the reach of the network beyond the languages department through, for example, collaborations with other societies or other sorts of on-campus groups, and also collaborating with other student networks within the languages department, such as the Disability Student Network.
Fantastic. Languages, that's quite interesting because you have quite a few different languages represented there as well. So people studying Hispanic studies, not just the language, but the culture and all of the aspects of that. French, German.
Yes.
Italian.
Yes.
And there's some others. I think there's some Arabic as well. Yeah. So that's really interesting. So kind of a network of all those different things as well. And people with a shared experience going across that diversity.
Yeah, I think in some ways our target audience, I guess, is quite small because languages is a department where there aren't necessarily a lot of Black students, but obviously the things we host aren't necessarily for Black students, as is the case with this exhibition. And yeah, it's been really nice to sort of find something that people have in common across whatever sort of degree they're studying.
Yeah, although we might say not that many Black students at the moment, but this is the kind of thing that can raise the profile and just say, this is the kind of place to come to, which from a university perspective, that's one of the things we're after here. We want to make it more visible, more more tempting for people to come. Superb. Okay, so on to Jessica from English and Comparative Literary Studies. We have to get these things right. Academic world, people are very precise about them. Have I got that right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so your name is?
I'm Jessica Boakye. I am a part of the English and Comparative Literacy Studies Department. I'm a part of the BAME network, and so our focus is really encouraging and bringing Black students, Asian students, and minority ethnic students to come to our events and to just have a safe place for them. And so it was really fun to work on this event and really sort of hone in, focus on Black students and representing them.
Yeah, okay. And is it quite a big group, or is it?
It's not that big yet. We're sort of still kind of in, I think last year was the first sort of student network. So we're still kind of up and running and just trying to, I guess, unite people.
Yeah. But this will help make it visible
definitely.
And all of those things. That's great. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. So we have a network of networks, and actually one of the things that might happen through coming together and creating an exhibition together is you become more like a community. It's one of the things I research is the difference between networks and communities, and how networks become communities, should they become communities, what that means and what difference that can make. So yeah, on to then the exhibition, okay, which I've heard a little bit about, but let's find out more. So what is the title? Who wants to tackle that one?
So the name of our exhibition is Diaspora in Sound, and the aim of it is basically to sort of explore musical progression across the diaspora and sort of trace developments in different genres from pre-colonial Africa to the present day.
Okay. In Africa and then across the world as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
with a focus on the United States and Britain.
Okay. Are you going to be kind of exploring how things are interconnected and how if there is a kind of common DNA to the music as it spreads across the world?
Definitely. And I think this might be I'm sure you guys agree with this, but I think one of the things that was sort of something we had to tackle with the exhibition was actually how do we describe the exchange that goes on, because with a lot of these different genres, whether it's jazz or blues, country, rock and roll, it's important that we don't sort of, I guess, sanitize things and create a single linear history of these genres when actually there's a lot of exchange between them. Whether it's, for example, jazz and rock and roll, these genres obviously existed independently of each other, but they were sort of mutually influencing each other and sort of pushing each other on.
Yeah. So I'm getting straight away that this is quite academically sophisticated. There's a lot of thinking about this. And I guess you're bringing to it your different academic disciplines and different ways of looking at it. So there's history, there's languages, culture, literature as well, because the word is really important in this, and how language, how language influences music and how music influences language. So exciting. So, do you want to tell me what it's going to look and feel like when it's ready? Are you at that stage yet, or are you kind of designing now, getting ready? Yeah. So what's going to look and feel like? Imagine that I've heard of this thing. I've seen some cool publicity, and okay, so I'm going to wander over to it. What hits me first?
It's kind of going to be like a walkthrough exhibition. So we'll have like different stands with posters and displays. It's going to be I think somewhat interactive as well. There is it's not too like hands-on, like people are just going to have the freedom to kind of walk through and read the different posters and information for themselves. We're also going to have some visual displays. Also some writing prompts. I forgot what the exact question would be, but
So I think you're doing a good job of giving me an idea of what this is going to look like. Yeah. And is it going to have sound at all? That's a tricky one, because it's going to happen in the Agora, which is the slightly pretentious name for the big atrium at the front of the building, and sound carries through the building, and it's a place where teaching happens. So you can have some sound, but we've got to be quite careful.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we will have like actual sound, like music playing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but
Right.
yeah, I think it's a good.
technically that's something that needs
Yeah.
to be worked out. Would it be nice to have music?
I think it could be, but I think because it's like we're having the exhibition be there for like over a period of 2 days, so it kind of just be a thing of, yeah, like when it would be appropriate to play. So I'm not too sure about the logistics of that.
Yeah. And it's in a fairly open space. So I guess in your audience, is it just anybody who's interested, or are you going to target specific groups as well?
To be honest, anyone who has any kind of interest. I mean, naturally, I think anyone who has a kind of deeper resonance with it, if they're from like a cultural heritage where the music is reflected in that, or if you're just a musical interest in person, obviously they're going to be captured by it, but it's honestly for anyone.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's kind of space where people can just kind of stumble across something and find, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know I was interested in that, which is one of the things we want to achieve in the arts and humanities, is to just surprise people, which is fantastic. I'm so looking forward to when I say I'm so looking forward to it, I'm actually going to be in Africa at the time. So hopefully I'll get to see some video and some images and things. But that's so cool. So are the different networks contributing to this in different ways? Are you kind of having a chunk of it that you're creating?
Yeah, so we all sort of divided it amongst ourselves, and we all did different research relating to the period that we were focusing on, and it was really collaborative. So we sort of talked and discussed with each other, the different research areas that we sort of had a keen eye or focus on, which was really good.
Yeah. So that's Jessica. Is there something specifically that excites you in this, or some theme or topic?
My focus was the sort of late 20th century American and British music. And so my focus was on sort of different music genres during those periods and different artists that I thought were of particular note or interest. And for sort of 70s UK, I sort of researched Labi Sifre.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's amazing.
I was kind of astounded to find out that so much of his music, which feels so ingrained in, I guess, what I would say like the British consciousness, with songs like It Must Be Love, and I didn't realize that he wrote them, and that a really incredibly talented Black British artist was behind some of like the biggest hits.
Yeah.
And I think that particularly interested me.
There's going to be a bit of a nostalgia. But for people of my age, there's going to be a real nostalgia aspect to this.
Exactly.
And I'm already in my head, I'm thinking there's something inside so strong.
'Cause there's something inside so strong, so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
That's a short sample from the truly amazing song Something Inside So Strong by Labi Sifre, released as a single in 1987. It was inspired by a television documentary on apartheid in South Africa, and in turn inspired a generation of young people to fight against discrimination everywhere.
That's a wonderful song. Yeah. He was a great songwriter and so influential, but yeah, probably not got as much credit as he deserved.
I do think maybe in some ways the tides are changing. I watched one of the sort of Oscar-nominated films, Sentimental Value, and his song Can It Chase was played at the end. Bless the Telephone, I think, kind of went viral on TikTok maybe last year. So I think, he is gaining popularity, which maybe within our generation. So I think that's quite interesting.
I'll ask you in a minute about how this might get onto social networks, and because that could be very interesting if people TikTok this. But first of all, Alicia, is there some part of this that really excites you? What's your network's big contribution from SMLC?
So for the SMLC, Finlay and I have both contributed to the research, and we've sort of been focusing on the early to mid 20th century, so just before Jessica's network's part. And it was really difficult actually to decide which genres to spotlight and which artists to have a closer look at, but the ones we focused on the most are probably blues, jazz, and within that swing, also rock and roll.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, this sort of echoes what's been said earlier, but I think it was really interesting to look at the exchange between the different genres.
Yeah.
And another thing that really surprised me was that I guess a lot of the terms that we use to refer to certain types of music have changed over time. So, for example, with what we might consider blues today, maybe a blues singer in the 1920s or 30s might refer to as ragtime because it's from an earlier period, and to them, it's already sort of the music of their parents' generation. And that, you know, other developments like maybe the blues craze of the 50s and 60s, that's changed how, I guess, record labels might categorize music. And in some ways that makes it difficult to describe things, but it also makes it really interesting to sort of look at that.
That's fascinating. So from a historiographic perspective, getting very academic, we can go back and see how people were already curating and re-representing music in different ways and how that's changed over time, the dynamics of it, and then how that helps things to spread internationally too. Of course, some of that music was almost demonized at the time.
Yeah.
And now you have it. So I was looking at, it was Miles Davis, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Who in the 60s did a concert at Coventry Cathedral. It's a very kind of sacred music kind of thing. He composed specific music for it. And that was, you know, people kind of really respected that. So that transformation is amazing.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see as well how American artists have become popular in the UK. And in some cases, for example, like maybe Duke Ellington, even having a fan base that's even bigger than in the UK than in the US.
Yeah. I'm just kind of thinking, was it Miles Davis? I only read it last week. I've been so busy, I'd kind of like getting confused about stuff. I'll have to look that up and insert a correction on the podcast if I've got it wrong.
Yes, Robert got it wrong. It was in fact Duke Ellington who composed in a new style of sacred jazz and played a legendary concert in Coventry Cathedral in February 1966. There's a recording of it on YouTube.
Brilliant. So this is, I mean, it's so rich, such an amazingly rich topic as well. So two things to think about. There's, well, we'll get on to the kind of impact and legacy, because you could write some amazing books and that out of it, or a TV series would be fantastic. I'm not a commissioning editor, by the way, but that would be amazing. And there's the social media impact as well. That's great. So Alex, what excites you most personally and your network?
I think for us, what's exciting is, I guess, seeing like the history behind all this, and then like having that be in our research, and just seeing how so many of the themes are very interconnected. Like for us, when it came to our research, we focus a lot on like pre-colonial African music, and kind of how that progressed into the Americas via slavery, and how a lot of I guess indigenous like musical influences, themes, motifs were heavily preserved, and very much like formed the basis of what we know to be a lot of like popular African American music today. So yeah, that was really interesting to research, just seeing it all come together and seeing how like historical things can like influence musical genres that like we all listen to today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're looking at the musical instruments that we used at all, or
instruments, I would say, is part of it. But also just like general, just like styles and like what like music in different pre-colonial African regions represented.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And it's interesting to think about how that's relevant to today. I met somebody recently who had spent quite a long time in Cameroon, with musicians who make trance music, so a kind of the original trance music, and have a kind of healing role in their community. And of course, people today are kind of rediscovering music doing that, and different kind of psychological effects it can have, which is really interesting.
That was the hypnotic sounds of the Balafon Sextet from Cameroon playing marimbas.
So that is just, you're covering so much breadth and depth. It's amazing. There's so many possibilities. Wow. Okay. Are there any other key points about the exhibition that you think need to be mentioned before we move on? No? Okay. I think we've done quite a lot there. That's fantastic. So going back to those 2 points, one is, first of all, social media of this. And I get the feeling you're going to have people coming to this maybe involved in creating who are the kind of social network generation, and they're going to want to kind of produce media. Do you have a social networking approach, or are you letting it just happen?
Well, I think that sort of promoting our event on social media has been a big part of our approach, and reaching out to societies that we think, might have access to an audience that would also, I guess, be interested in our exhibition. But I think another thing that's sort of really exciting about this exhibition is that I guess in the present day, we have so much access to such a wide range of music that maybe people our age 20 years ago, 30 years ago might not have had, because we have streaming platforms. It's so easy to, I guess, become more musically literate. And I think that gives it importance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that apparently the claim that's missing from this now, though, is so record shops, for example, used to play a really significant role in creating community. And Reddington's Rare Records in Birmingham, for example, you can go there on a Saturday and explore the music that was available and meet different people who you could find out about different kinds of music very easily from them. So there's that kind of social aspect which is potentially missing from the streaming world, and I can see that what you're doing here is trying to curate something that gives us that. So you're going to create that kind of community that's missing, and that kind of chance to discover things you never expected from other people and hear their story. Yeah, it's going to be a lived thing.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. Do you find that's a thing that's you want, that you don't have enough of, community?
I think so. I think, I think I went to a record shop like once, and it was quite like, there was such a range of music, which was really exciting. And I think what we're perhaps endeavoring to do is, with our exhibition, invite people who maybe, like I was saying, didn't know that Labi Sifre was writing these songs, who aren't familiar with, music genres like UK garage and jungle, and sort of introduce them to that, and I guess invite them to explore these really key, crucial and exciting Black sort of music genres.
That's an interesting example, because probably to me, garage and jungle, I don't quite get what differences are. So I haven't got sufficient understanding to differentiate. And that's something that is actually part of the pleasure of being really engaged in music on a broad sense, is understanding and being able to recognize the differences and how they cross over and how they evolve.
I ain't got no time to smoke this, hold this. Yo G, go by in a black top TT. Mega Man, Kappa 2, that's easy. Seeing stars on the wrist, they wanna jap me. Say, come step to me. The last thing that you saw was icy. Bitch, say nigga.
So that was a mix of 1993's intense jungle classic Darkage by DJ Solo, followed by 21 Seconds by UK garage legends So Solid Crew from 2001.
They were sort of going on in tandem a bit, I think.
Yeah.
And they sort of kind of, I think, what through the research that I did was that garage sort of came out of jungle, sort of towards the end of jungle's sort of, I guess, major prominence. It kind of became quite violent. The raves became quite violent.
Yeah.
And so garage became a sort of, I guess, a kind of refuge from that.
Right.
And so it's really sort of interesting when you discover things like that. And even the way that, like, the music sounds. Yeah.
The connection to social history there is just fascinating. You can learn so much from that. Wow. And so I mentioned that I could see books, media productions, all kinds of interesting things coming out of this. And, you know, your students, undergraduate students, I don't know. One thing I have to say is I've known students who've done things like this and they've gone on to big things. Okay, they've gone on to do amazing things, get BAFTAs even. So, and it starts with this kind of activity and the richness of it. Imagine, each of you, let's say just 5 years' time, where this might have led. A kind of ideal world, what would you be doing? What might you be producing from it? Who wants to tackle that one first? Jessica?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think that, like, I really enjoy music. I really enjoy, I think researching this has been really exciting. I think for me, 5 years from now, I'd like to be maybe in film, kind of like in that kind of production, directing. And I definitely think music will influence that and sort of my research here.
Okay, so when you get the Oscar, can you please remember this conversation?
Yes.
And your acceptance speech, that's brilliant. That's amazing. That's what we want to hear. So yeah, Alicia or Alex, who's going to go next? Alex?
Could you repeat the exact
So
word of the
5 years'
question?
time,
Okay.
how might this have influenced you, set you up to do something great? Be really ambitious, and what would you really, really like to do?
I think that's a really good question because I think being an undergraduate in second year, doing English and history, I naturally come from a background where I do enjoy being creative, but I feel like when thinking about career prospects, it's kind of been more, I don't know, I guess thinking about more corporate technical things, but I'm thinking like now having exposure to this, it's kind of maybe reignited that possibility that in the future I could still venture into creative pursuits. And that,
Honestly, you can do great things.
yeah,
Really.
so yeah, I'd have to, there's a lot to consider. I don't have like an exact idea of, but yeah.
Keep reflecting on it. And also, I'm sure this will be a networking opportunity as well. We can, make sure that people get to this. It's worth just hanging around the exhibition and just seeing who's there and talking to them. That's really key. Okay, so Alicia, your amazing future and how it's influenced by this.
So for me, when it comes to my career, I will be going down the sort of more corporate route. I'm going to go into law, but I think I've always had an interest in, more creative things. I've always loved drawing, painting. And I think one of the things that I've been trying to get into recently is just being able to improve my knowledge of popular culture, popular music. And I think the opportunity to do something like curate an exhibition is just, I think it's amazing. It's taught me, and I'm sure it's taught you guys as well, a lot of really important skills, a lot of really important things when it comes to leadership and organizing. And that's something that I'll take with me no matter what I go into. And also just the knowledge that I've gained and will gain as well from looking at the research you guys have done from this exhibition. That will also be useful for me no matter what I go into, just because it's something that's important to me.
Fantastic. Yeah, actually, curation is such an important skill in lots of different fields, teaching, business, or whatever. That's really, really significant. And we are so excited to start getting exhibitions created by lots of people here. We're really interested in the potential for museums, possibly starting with, there might be a module created that is open to people in the faculty around that. That's very exciting. Law, so you mentioned law. Did you know that our law school has quite a lot of creative people? So there's at least 2 people there who are professors who are actors and do acting, but also have worked on the connection between law and creativity and theatre. It's a big area. There's also a little group there who do law and museums, decolonization, ownership, rights, all that kind of stuff, which is absolutely fascinating. So, yeah, if you go into law, these are some of the most exciting, interesting, and fast-growing parts of the law profession as well. So that connection between arts, humanities, museums, law is really rich. So, yeah, good luck with all of that stuff. When's the exhibition on?
Oh, do you mean the date?
Yeah.
It's next week, Thursday and Friday. So
What's the March the
March
5th and 6th.
5th? Yeah, in the Faculty of Arts building.
Yes.
I won't be here. I'll be away in Namibia, visiting museums there. Yeah, but hopefully you can get some photos and maybe do some film and record, if you can record some little interviews with people. We can share those as well. Good luck with it. Good luck with your futures and the development of the networks. It's amazing stuff. Our students are amazing. You are fab. Fab people in the Faculty of Arts building, the Fab. Hooray.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, thanks to everyone who took part in this interview and the many people involved in creating the exhibition, which will run in the Fab Agora on the 5th and 6th of March 2026. Our new theme music is By Contra from Pixabay. And my name is Ken. I'm a synthetic voice from 11 Labs. Have a great day. Hope to meet you again soon.